What's up, everyone? How's it going? Welcome to today's pre-week analysis for the week of July 14th to July 18th. So I'm very excited to get started with this pre-week analysis, especially with all the new tariff news that's been coming in, which could potentially shift market sentiment, giving us better buying prices for long-term activity. But we just have to see. First thing that we see is that gap that we've recently made with that market open for futures, indicating that price may want to head lower, but we'll get into that more during our technical part of this analysis once again. But first step, let's go ahead and check out the news. So let's just do a quick overview, and I'm pretty sure CPI and PPI are this week, so decently news heavy week, but yeah. So on Monday, not much at all. Yeah, nothing much we have to worry about at all on Monday. Tuesday we have CPI at 7:30 a.m. So likely gonna take the day off during CPI unless we see a really good setup that we are confident taking. If there's not a good setup that we're confident taking, then so be it. But we'll leverage the news data if we can. If we cannot, we'll take the day off. On Wednesday, we have PPI. Once again, I'm gonna play this and position this out same as if we would do with CPI, but I'll be a bit more lenient when it comes to PPI because PPI is less of a high impact activity as compared to CPI. But other than that, nothing too significant. We do have these crude oil inventories, all that, but they're all yellow folders. They should not drive price to insane movement. Now here we have unemployment claims. Same thing here, but I'm even more lenient than PPI. This entire week is going to be news heavy week, which could or could not provide us decent opportunities. Just depends on how we can leverage the news to our benefit. And depending on how we can use the news, that's how we may be able to succeed. Thursday, I'll likely trade it like a typical trading day. Friday, it's pretty open other than these prelim UOM consumer sentiment and inflation expectations. 5 minute interval or 2 minute interval also does fine. 2 minute to 5 minute interval right at 9 a.m. And no intervals on Thursday. No intervals on Wednesday. No intervals on Tuesday. And interval potential. Nah, no intervals on Monday either. Yeah. So let's double check that with financial juice. Yeah, nothing there on Monday. Bank of Europe daily text release. Nothing, no intervals on Tuesday, Thursday, Wednesday. Wednesday we are going to have 9:30 crude oil inventories. So at 9:30 we likely will take a 2 minute to 5 minute interval depending on the extensive impact of crude oil inventories. One second. And what I did just now was I just essentially searched it up for you guys. So we are gonna take a 2-minute interval at 9:30 simply because we don't want to risk getting in that action news and getting stopped out because of news. Friday we have 9 a.m. interval. Other than 9 a.m., it's fine. But now here's for the fun part. Here's where we're gonna get into our technical and volume-based analysis to set ourselves up for the week with some preferable outcomes, predictable outcomes, whatever you want to call it. So let's get started with the 4-hour. And if you look on a higher time frame perspective, what we have been seeing happening was that these all-time highs got swept on ES. And we can simply go on 4-hour on the footprint and see exactly what happened there. Right here. What you can see here is there's lots of volume happening around here. Now, no absorption per se, but this is essentially a case where buyers and sellers were in agreement of price there, and it seems to me that sellers just came out on top, pushing price down to another area where volume was extremely high down here. And this area was very significant and might just be the area that we might retrace into before a drop or a breakthrough. Just depends on what we see. So that's what I'm noticing. Let's just see what else you notice. I'm just marking out all our key levels, but we also see that this liquidity had also been swept, right? This 4-hour liquidity had also been swept, took out those highs, and continuing down with aggressiveness with the gap down into market open. And here, this is interesting because what we're seeing is throughout this candle, we're seeing a mix of aggressive buying and selling delta. But selling delta is very aggressive. In the next candle, that selling aggression just followed through. Again, here as well, where we saw our initial liquidity, we saw buying absorption, and you can clearly see that here. This area saw buying absorption, come into this area. Now volume is here. We likely saw buyer absorption at the top once again. Might be able to see that on the, not 1 minute, but 1 hour. Yeah, I'll take a look at that. You can clearly see buyer absorption there. See lots of aggressive buying trying to get in at the top, which is unable to break through, which eventually leads to this drop. So this level right here is going to be a very key level because of that absorption that we've been noticing. And these levels up here, they're all-time highs, so they're of course going to be key levels for us to play with. But now we're coming back into these zone levels where there is a 4-hour zone here. I'll mark that lower liquidity because it's right next to each other. We don't need to mark out more than we need to. Just marking it all out. Alright. Now let's go on to the 3 hours, see what we notice. And by the way, this area is a supply zone as well. Just keeping that in mind as we're moving forward as well. 3 hour, I'm honestly not noticing much. 2 hour, not much once again. I do want to go ahead and mark out this gap fill area. Gap fill area there. Nothing there on the 3 hour as well, nothing too significant, but on the 2 hour, we do see a 2 hour supply zone there. there, we mark that out. And I want to see what happened there. So you can see that on the 1 hour. And what we do see there, likely buying absorption, but we can't really tell because the next candle looks to be where pre-market market opened, right? That 7 to 8 time frame, and we saw lower time frame absorption with low volume, so it's hard to actually validate the significance of this zone. So this is not going to be that strong of a key zone. We're going to keep it marked out simply because of the aggressive move. But this zone, just because it looks like that on the candlesticks, may not be as aggressive and as key as you might think it is. Okay, let's keep going. But other than that, on the 2 hour, there's not much else. Of course, there's a zone that's been showing up. And this one. Let's go ahead and validate those as well. Or invalidate them, depending on what we see. Alright. We already validated that. I want to validate these lower. This is in low volume. Once again, keep that in mind. This area is low volume, right? So I'm not too worried about this area holding. I truly believe that this 4 hour might be getting broken easily when we head into this 2 hour. And that's what we did in the start of the week as well. We had another zone there, I believe, right? Let's go ahead and check. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. So we had this 4 hour ear, and if you take a look, that is Asian session and low volume sessions in which that zone was created. And although this zone held for one occasion, again, in those, nah, this one was during, but although this held for a while, in the retrospective of things, we broke through it with lots of strength. So I'm gonna keep it marked, but I know that it's not as significant as we make it out to be. Now here, this might be a key area, likely is a key area. See, we're seeing large volume within both of these, within this area at least. And we are seeing a lot of volume here at the bottom, potentially indicating in seller absorption, as we did see sellers coming aggressively, but it might just be telling us that they may not have an interest in pushing lower. But since we're seeing high volume here, people are transacting at this area, but but essentially buyers don't want the sellers to push price lower. It's a good way of putting it. That 4 hours validated. Let me just find this one real quick. This area is going to be in high volume, so it's validated like such. This 30K area, volume near the bottom, it typically correlated around with liquidity, but I'm mostly focused on this 2 hour. Not this 2 hour, but I'm mostly focused at this 2 hour. For now, at least. But I'm focused on that 2 hour and this gap fill region. And that was our footprint volume analysis of ES. We're also going to mark out a volume profile, marking out first the recent range. As you see, volume is still skewed. What just happened? Skewed towards the upside, right? I just moved it. Yeah, maybe. But volume is drifting towards this area. showing that price may want to head higher. Let's continue extending down to this range. Now we see that there's volume in multiple occasions, both at these bottom area, and because I see volume transacted over this entire range at the bottom area, I can now validate this. Although we didn't see volume at that specific region of the zone, over this entire consolidation range, we've seen volume, and very strong volume that is too, that created this range that allowed for this zone to now be validated. But yeah, let's keep extending. I'm gonna extend it to there. And yeah, that's pretty nice. Most of the volume transacted at where we're sitting at right now which could or could not potentially indicate, but if we break through this level, we should be pretty clear to head down to that 2-hour area where we are seeing heavy volume, which is validated. But if we break above, we can head up to these liquidity level areas. Or since this area has high volume too, okay, that does not look the best way, but since this area has a decent amount of volume too, we can come back into this gap fill area, fill in some volume there, as those imbalances typically don't stand there as long as you think, and move down. Or who knows, come break through that already. It's gonna extend this a bit more. Now we see volume here, validating that liquidity. Now this liquidity, I'm not particularly keen in it, so I am going to remove it, simply because it's not the bottom of the range as well. And these are going to be all our key levels that have been validated here on ES. So, how I'm going to position my preferable or predictable outcomes for the week, or what is the game plan going into the week? It's going to be this. From where we're sitting at right now, around this relative zone area, if we go up, I would want to see movement into this area. At this area, I expect price to either reject from that area, and if you don't reject, we're heading up to this liquidity level relative area, right? But if you reject from there, or if we just continue to move down, we can see a move down until this area. If we break it, move up. If we don't, we head down into these 2 hours where we have to seek a reaction from. So this is gonna be how my preferable outcomes are positioned. If I'm gonna prefer something, it's going to be this purple one. I would love to see a retracement filling in this imbalance that has been created in the market, and then seek out a reaction from that. So these two are definitely going to be my most preferred outcomes. And this one, it's not bad, but it's more of a second option, and we will be prepared no matter what happens, nonetheless. Now, I hope you guys understood the actual benefit of using order flow tools like footprint and volume profile and things of that nature, because you can actually see the relationship between buyers and sellers at a key level, essentially allowing you to eliminate some key levels, validate some key levels, and a bunch of other things. But now that we've analyzed the ES, let's go ahead and do the same for NQ. And we should be able to do this pretty quickly. I'm gonna hope that the preferable outcomes are gonna stand the same, but we cannot guarantee any of it, and that's why we do this, because we might see another perspective on things, changing our overall understandings on such. But as we see here, we did sweep the all-time highs. That did occur on NQ. But what didn't occur is a sweep of these highs on NQ, which could be indicating to us that price may want to head lower as we continue to make these lower lows. While on S, we were able to sweep out this high, and then we made that imbalance down, shifting towards lower lows. Seems pretty bearish, but you never know what will happen, especially near these all-time high areas. And we did see a bounce back up from this liquidity, but now he's breaking below it. Keeping, oh, we have not technically broken below it yet. This is another thing to keep in mind. This gap below that. That should do. I, I don't know if I want to mark that 26th of June. We didn't mark it, so we might as well. There we go. 3 hour, not noticing much else. Yep, nothing else on the 3 hour, 2 hour. Sorry, we do see that 2 hour zone there. 17. Ooh, I think that might have been the 2 hour that we removed. Nah, we did stand it. Oh, so if you look on a lower time frame perspective, we did sweep this. We did make higher highs on this. But we made that imbalance lower. So it's hard to tell. We really have to wait for a reaction from the market to make a further move. But we saw a reaction from this 2 hour. That's the main thing to understand. So it's hard to tell really if we're tilting bearish or bullish since we are in this overall all-time high consolidation range. If we break out of it, potentially we can find more trendy and identify more powerful biases. But now we're just going to play with how we react to different levels, and that will never do you wrong in choppy market conditions if you know how to play it the right way. Okay. Nothing else I'm noticing on 2 hour though. 1 hour. More liquidity there. But now we have all our levels. Now here's the fun part, validating or invalidating them to make this hopefully look a bit cleaner. Volume here, validating that area. This area is going to be validated since it's all-time highs. Now we're just worried about validating this mess that we've been seeing down there. There we go. We do see volume there, but primarily volume is near this gap fill area, so this area definitely going to be significant. And because that point of control is higher, it's closer to that gap fill area, I'm going to mark it here. We do see volume at this 4 hour, but it's hard to tell if it's as significant as you may think. I'm really liking how we reacted from this level here. And we are seeing volume throughout all of that once again as well. And now we are seeing volume, but the volume is tilted towards the upper side of this range. It's more of that upper half of this 4 hour. So I'm going to see if there's any way we can shorten this 4 hour. to something less large. Can't really find that, but yeah, I guess majority of our levels are gonna stand. We just further signified this gap fill area and this area here, and alongside this potential area as well. But honestly, my preferable outcomes are gonna stay the same. If we move up from where we're sitting at right now, I want to see how we react first at the gap fill area, and then I want to see if we break through that, I want to see how we react at these 2-hour areas. That's going to be my preferred outcome because I believe that that's honestly a better way that I can play out the market. But if that doesn't occur, completely fine if we head down lower into this range and then see reaction. Or we continue going lower into this upper half and then seeing reaction. So essentially it's going to stay the same as we saw here on S. But we're not done yet. We have to do pre-week analysis on, what is it, the VIX. See if there's anything we see there that can validate or invalidate whatever we think. Wait, I don't think I've ever used a volume profile. Yeah, that's because it doesn't work. Alright, perfect. But what I'm seeing here, we gapped up, now we're coming back down. Okay, personally, what the VIX looks like is that it could go either way. And let me explain to you why. First of all, we gapped up, which is bearish for ESNNQ. But second of all, we have made an aggressive move down into this gap area. Now, who knows how this candle will react? This candle could either go down, fully down to these levels, or we could bounce from this area. If we bounce from this area, that would be perfect, and that would be leading us towards a more bearish bias. And it's going to be until tomorrow where we'll actually see that reaction, as this did close. So if we come up and react from this gap fill area, as we're seeing right now, continuing going up, that's pretty bearish for price, and that's where we may expect price to go. So that might be our second option. And honestly, a lot of it will depend on CPI, PPI, unemployment claims, and much more. So very important to check out the news for this week and play with the news, play with the flow of capital, other than going against it. But yeah, that's honestly going to be all I have here for today. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know in the comment section down below, or feel free to join my Discord server that is completely free, that I truly believe you can gain a thing or two out of. Additionally, if you want to take tools of order flow today for completely free, check out Addis, one of our channel partners, in the link in the description down below. You can start practicing and start integrating it into your strategy today. And even with that 15-minute delay with the free version, you can start backtesting and start practicing. Additionally, I do think they have free crypto data, which is very, very, very impressive. It's also one of the easiest platforms and more UX friendly platforms that I've been seeing in terms of footprint charts. And yeah, it's overall pretty good. So definitely recommend you guys to check that out, like I've said before. And yeah, but yeah, other than that, I don't have anything else for this video. But I'll see you guys tomorrow, Monday, July 14th morning, for the pre-day analysis, pre-market analysis session, pre-market analysis live session tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. And I guess I'll see you guys then. Goodbye.